Morning, Cyber Warriors. It's going to be a little bit longer video this time around, but it's going to go into a few things that we've almost touched before. It's going to combine several things we have done before in order to have a different kind of outcome programmatically. So let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things we need to do when we are looking at all of the information for the Cyber Patriot program is identifying things within the README that we have to execute. So we've gone over a lot of the different items here, but what we have not done is made this particular change. Local administrator account passwords must not expire. In some realms, this is not a very good idea, but in others, this is a requirement. So why it's a requirement is that the administrator account, which no one should be logging into, needs to be able to function just in case you have to escalate your privileges, to update the system, to update patches, these sorts of things. If the password expires, the account expires, and you can't execute these things. You have to toggle it, do a number of things. A simple way to get around that is simply to just, the password does not ever expire. So how do we do that programmatically? So let's take a look at we know that we're going to use the set-local command, but let's take a look at the get-local command first. Okay, so now let's grab TAD, and we're going to want to look at anything that has to do with passwords. So we have several different password ones here. So let's take a look at those. And we can actually pull up all of those password values at once. So password changeable date? No. Password expires? That's what we're looking for, right? So let's actually just manually go in and change that, right? So Set-LocalUser TAD wait a second. Password never expires. That's not the same. So because it's not the same, what do we need to do? We need to identify how this particular item is called, how it's set, and how it relates to the password expires. One would think that it's simply a yes or no, or something along those lines. So let's actually take a look. Alright, so PowerShell, password never expires. We see examples here where it's telling us we have to define it as true or false. That's really good. So now we know how we're going to use this. So we can go ahead and copy this, and we're going to just kind of plug it in here. How do we tell things to be true or false in PowerShell? Do you just type in true? No. $ true, because it is a variable. It's a Boolean. Yes, no. Okay. So now that we know what we're going to have to do for the actual command to change the value, we have to figure out how to get all of the appropriate users associated with that into this particular piece. So how do we do that, right? So first we want to take a look at all the local group members for the administrator group. So get local group member for the group administrators. Excellent. So we have everything for the local administrators group, but we just need the name. So we can select object name. So we have the name, and we're going to just push all of that directly into Get-LocalUser. And we're going to, from that, actually, let's just take a look at this. All the red. Red means you done messed up. So what did we mess up? The command should have worked, right? Simple command, get local administrator groups, just them, just the name, push it to the local user. What's wrong? User desktop Ibernath administrator was not found. Well, that's because it's pushing the computer name as part of the name. And we saw that. It's right here. We should have known better that we actually only need this portion, the latter half. So how do we separate that to the point where we can actually find it that way? Well, to do that, we actually need to go back to this command and figure out how to split that apart. As it so happens, PowerShell has a lovely little thing called split, which tells you to separate things based off of criteria that you define. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to pare this down just a little bit more to get rid of this title portion up here so that we only have the bottom portion that includes the desktop names and the name of the user. To do that, we're going to take the previous command we ran and make a slight change to that. So what I've done is I've encapsulated the previous command for Get-LocalGroupAdministrators, LocalGroupMember, excuse me, and I'm going to actually bring that forward, execute that command, but I only want the name value or the name object from that command. And there we have it. So you notice that it does not have the top portion here. It only has the criteria we provided. So this allows us to take that command and we can split it. We would split it the same way that we actually define just the name parameter by encapsulating the entire thing and then giving it some additional criteria. So the criteria we want to split on is what? It's that slash. So we're going to put in quotes that slash and then test it. It is indeed separated everything that we want, but it's separated onto different lines. This actually is very beneficial for us. So what we're going to be able to do is then take this and we're going to put that into another command where we're going to be able to match against criteria. In our previous videos, we've always used the where object. These are no longer objects, and I'll show you that. So where object match, and we're going to just do desktop here. You see, it's not value not specified where object. Okay, so all right, no problem. Let's do that again differently, and we're going to say the name, right? Because those were the names. But it didn't respond with anything. Well, it's because these are no longer objects; they're strings. Since we split them into strings. Strings are not objects. PowerShell's funny about that. So there is a way to do this, and it's going to be a slight change from what we had before. So select string. Oop. Okay. You see what I did? select string, not match, so we don't want to find the word desktop in it. Right? So previously, in our previous command, desktop was part of this whole string, so it didn't find anything with the word desktop or part of it in there. So that's really good. But let's actually change this so that it's better for a script, something that's more portable. You can move it from one system to the next, one competition to the next. And that would be to take this portion and work it out, right? So it was part of the environmental variable, right? It was called the desktop, or whatever that thing is, right? So how do we look at the environmental variables? env for the environmentals, and then we put a colon and the item that we're looking for. So we're looking for the computer name. We test it. Yes, it gives us what we need. This is good. So now we take this and we push it up here. And I'm going to separate these so that it's a little easier to read. Okay. So what I've done here is we have the initial command, which breaks it out into just the elements that we want. And we have the pipe here. And the pipe basically is the and then. So do this and then. Now we're going to do that. And then we're going to set local user password never expires. Right? Okay. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can actually hit F5, or we can copy the whole thing and paste it down below. Either way is correct. And you'll see when you have it pasted down below that it actually hasn't executed anything because it's waiting, because you had an and then with the pipe at the end. Now that we don't have a pipe, we don't have a carriage return, it's waiting for you to execute. So you can put in another pipe, you can do whatever you want. What we're going to do in this instance is enter and execute. And well, what happened? Do we know if it worked? We don't really know if it worked. So what is a simple way for us to tell if it worked? Well, it's to take this command. Oop. Oh, my goodness. Undo. Okay. So I like to have it programmatically viewed like this so that we can actually see what's going on. So instead of executing a set local command, so we're going to go back to that get local user and select object name password, and it was expires, right? Okay. So we've already done the first one. So now we just need to check to see if the second one worked. And there we have it. There's no expiration date on that password, so now we know that it worked. So how do we check to make sure that we're actually changing things? Well, we can unchange them. You'll see that the password expires value is now set. And we change it back to true because that's what our scenario wants. We execute the script and we're done. So that's actually gone through. It's taken a lot of different things we've done before, and it's added a new little function, a new little feature. We added in split and select strings in order to set and unset the password expiration. Well, I hope you learned something in today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.